I want to say home stretch, but you never know what challenges are coming up. Welcome to episode 9. The seat is pretty much done. The cockpit assistant is wired. The Dynojet power commander, the auto tune is wired. It's responding. It says it's there. I haven't turned the bike on yet because I can't yet, because there's still just a few more things left to do. And I say a few, let's go through them one by one. What we're doing today, hopefully, rally foot pegs, lower rally foot pegs. They're amazing. Well, I need to get the airbox and get the air filter oiled. I need to put in coolant, and I've potentially set myself a really ridiculous extra task. Hopefully I can get it done because it's only a 1 day turnaround. Let me show you what I've done. Made this last night when I was just actually in a bit of a rage about something else. Took the old top clamp from my other setup, drilled a hole in it, blah blah blah, and I fitted this so I can fit my phone. Now, as you can see here, like I've made like a little brackety thing to protect the compan from this brake cable. Even though I've just perfectly bled the brakes, they are absolutely sharp as. I'm going to disconnect all of it, drain it all out, and I'm going to take it to the shops and get a 10 centimeter longer cable, just so it just clears like that, you know. I think I kind of have to, because otherwise, even though I have rounded that off over there to stop it from rubbing too much, it's still just touching, and I'm not cool with it. I'm not cool with that. What else we got to do? Oh yeah, oil. Filters are already in, did that with the engine build, just got to put the oil in. Welcome to episode 9, let's get into it. A stock foot peg, it's tiny, like look at it. I'm sure that's fine for some people, but no. So this is what I'm going with. I line them up holes wise. You can see, if you're tall, this really helps. Not so much the actual width or whatever, I don't ever really notice a difference in the width, but just being that little bit lower down when you're standing up allows you to grip better with your knees. Anyway, let's get these on, because I was going to try this the way that Chopsy did it, where you put like a cable tie around it and you tighten it till it's really closed, and then you slip it on in there. And that's all in the name of like keeping it closed so you don't damage all of this. The reality is, it's really hard, Chopsy's way. I could not get it to close. So if the idea is to protect the Cerakote, then normally what I do is I just kind of wedge it in place and just start kind of forcing it in and then push the pin through. So to try and protect the Cerakote, I've just put like a little cable tie around it. Let's see. Turns out the Cerakote is stronger than it looks. This is probably one of my least favourite jobs. Yeah, Cerakote can take it, don't worry about your cable ties and nonsense. It just makes it harder, I think. Oh my god, it's way easier on this side, especially without all this on. Look at that, done, no scratches. Woo-hoo-hoo. Now I know just about every video says to submerge it in fluid, but that's messy. I don't have loads of buckets lying around. I've already got this from previous air filters, so. You can see it just kind of moving around in little puddles in between your fingers. I'll set that aside to dry for about a while I do other stuff, and give it, what, 10 minutes to soak in, and then I'll pat it down and then leave it for, well, I'll put it on when the bike's ready to go. Right, let's deal with this. This is the stock fuel filler. Right, imagine it's covered in mud. It's all caked up all around it, but you still got to get fuel, and you're like trying to wipe it all off and shit. And then when you put it up, it kind of falls straight in, which is not used to anyone. So that's got to go. Let me just close that. Here it is. Where did I get it from? Loads of people make them, but essentially, when you pull your gas cap off, the mud falls there rather than into the tank. It's pretty straightforward. There we go. Okay, what's this? 15? From what I understand, 15 is not going to cut it. It might feel a bit short from what I've read online. The power that comes with this level of well, power capacity or whatever leaves you 1 in 16 on the front, and what was the guy saying, 40 on the back. We'll see. This chain has got a little bit of rust in it. It's only done like 500 miles, but it has been sat for a better part of a year now. So I'm gonna give it a quick once over. That's better. So fitting the Tekmo header pipe, everything is based around the, God's sake, I can't even talk. Basically, I have the Perrin-Moto fuel tank reinforced mounting points, but the Perrin-Moto reinforced mounting points for the fuel tank are different for the early model KTM 690 SMCs and Enduros. So anything from the 08 up to the 2013, then from 2014 onwards, it's basically the same setup, but this bolt here is slightly longer than the one that comes in the previous kit. Otherwise the kits are pretty much the same. So what I've had to do is I've had to get some 8mm threaded bar, using that in its place in the meantime, because when it comes time to mount the exhaust, I need this bracket and a bracket that goes around the exhaust here. Otherwise I can't mount any of the heat shields. You get me. This is it, you know you're close when you got the Tekmo Powerbomb. Come on, let's get it on. Right, so let's talk about the Quickshifter. This is the Dynojet short Quickshifter. It's not the one which, if you say you've got a dirt bike, it's not the one they give you. The one, if you've got a dirt bike, it's got like a super long bar on it with like a bend and whatever, and actually that does not fit 690 Enduro or SMC. So this is my shout out to Pirate Racing in Germany. I thought when I saw this on their website that what I was looking at was the kit made by Dynojet. I recognised that it was this particular one, and if you put into Dynojet that you were buying it for a 690, then you would get what they were showing you how to install. So I bought this as part of my bundle that I bought. I got the auto tune and the power commander and this, and then it turned up and I realised that it's just the unit itself. There's no mounting parts. So I got in touch with Pirate Racing to ask if they would sell me the extra little bits they used to mount it to the bike, and they only sell it as a kit. They won't sell you spares. I don't know what they do if you're a customer and one of the components they've sent you breaks, but they weren't keen, so I'm gonna have to make it myself. So let's get into it. Let me talk you through what I've got, what I've done and what I'm doing. This mounts basically from here, this point here, down to the shifter, right? Like I said, what you need does not come if you order it from Dynojet. So this is the shifter. Let's put this on here. This mounts there, across to down there. You can have it at a slight angle, but it needs to be just slightly ahead. Now, the problem with this shifter is that it's curved from the very get-go, which means you can't use it, and it's not black. So I bought this one, which is apparently for a KTM 690 Duke from MBO Sport. Let's pop that in place. You'll see what I'm up against today. So if I pop that on, when you go to shift gear, you get that nonsense. Now this is apparently designed for a 690 Duke, which means to me that they were hoping that you wouldn't have carbon Kevlar weave on your stator casing, but it does have a fairly flat area here, which is perfect for what we need to do next. Now let me show you. So what I'm going to do, obviously I've already marked it, I'm going to cut a section off of this so it does fit past all of this through here to start with, and then I need to drill a hole to create a bracket, which is, from what I measure, 40mm deep, so that it can connect to this. So when you shift gear, yeah. Also up here, this is an M8 bolt. So this is the one, this is the stock one which goes on the bike. As you can see, it's an M8. Last night I did a few test runs with a few spare bolts that I've got to see if I could aluminium brazing weld an M5 spacer onto the end of one of these. Now, quite simply, what you do, you need to work out the distance, and I worked out that 15mm is the spacer that you need. But that 15mm has to be, let's say, 4mm of thread. So what you do is you cut this down to 15mm in depth. You then wind in your bolt, 4mm, then clamp it right here, imagining this is 15mm tall, and then you fill the rest with aluminium with a blowtorch. So you superheat it up and then you fill it with aluminium, and then you file off the top, and then you drill out a 4.2mm hole all the way down to the bolt, and then you get an M5 tap and you thread it so that you can put an M5 bolt into it. 4 hours of practicing and trying to get it right. I had to refill it with aluminium 3 times to get it to do this, but that's basically what it looks like when it's done. I could file it down a bit more on the top, but that just gives me a little bit more thread. So let's pop that in. So now, when I come to mount this, it gives me a little bit of space. So now what I've got to do is create a similar version with M6 bar, level off that black back bit there, put M6 bolt through it, and then I'm going to put an M6 stud connector on there, another M6 stud connector on the very tip of it, just so it's sealed with a bit of thread lock and whatever. And then we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to fill that M6 stud connector with aluminium, and we're going to thread it to M5. And that way we can then thread. These holes here are M5, and there's no change in that. Oh, it's very hot. Ow! Yes, perfect. Right, let's finish this off. Right, so I need 40mm spacer. Comes in through the back. This is 17, so I'm going to grind this one down so it's the length that I actually want, because I definitely don't want any more length than I necessarily need. Take off a couple of mil off of that, so I've got a decent amount of thread to thread this one on. Once this is all correct and the right length done up, fill that with aluminium and then re-thread it to M5, and then I can put the M5 bolt into that, and then I've got Quickshifter. 15.5. That'll do. Just going to run the M6 tap through it just to clear out that thread. Right, let's see if I can get this right first time. It's not the most central hole, but I think that might actually help. If I'm slightly threading the steel bit, should be stronger, right? Bit of oil. Pretty good. Now, moment of truth. Here you go. Okay, right. Nice and snug. Maybe they like the idea of people making it themselves. I don't know. I'd have paid a lot of money to avoid having to have done this. But you know, there's no better way than doing it yourself. Just going to feed that through to the power commander. So you can see, plugged it into input number 2. Input 1 is currently covered up by holding everything securely in place. Whew. Must remember to change it in the software because it's preset to input number 1. Right, moving on. Right, let's ventilate the crankcase. That's a bit too small, so I've just got a bit of old hose and ground it down to a smaller size. Fits on there. Yeah, snug. Very snug. How savage do you reckon it'd sound without the rest of the exhaust? Sadly, I'm never going to find out because I have neighbours and everybody needs good neighbours or something. That's how the song goes. The airbox is on. So close. What have we got left to do? The big thing. Let's put the exhaust on. No dripping so far. Okay. Literally shitting myself worrying about this. A little bit of a Chessington's finest. Christ, I trod on the cable tie just as I pressed the negative down and it sounded like something was sparking. fresh new build, fresh shiny new key. Let's chuck it in. So before I try turning it over, well, before I put the airbox on, I'm just going to test all the indicators and stuff and make sure that all that's behaving and I've got no FI lights and all that. That's a win. Come on, no FI lights. Indicators left, front and back are working. Indicators back, right and front are working. That works. Right, I've got to say that fresh new key turns way easier than the old one. Pukey pukey. That's all dry and ready to go. I'm absolutely shitting myself. My heart must be doing about 170 beats a minute. Okay, so I've checked every cable, plugged in the laptop, I've got power commander connected. I can barely talk, I'm so nervous. Tune ECU says everything's fine, there's no FI warning codes. Everything's connected, everything's connected. If this works, there will be no blipping of the throttle. I'll have to take it out front and do a 15-minute idle reset. Oh, I'm gonna puke. Oh, for God's sake, just do it. That wasn't good. Right, let's try that again. I don't know. I can't figure it out.